Welcome to Not Your Ordinary Parts, a podcast where we talk about hard things associated with the human experience with the goal of increasing awareness, growth, and healing. You may hear information from professionally licensed therapists, life coaches, healers, doctors, etc. This information is not medical advice or therapy and is not meant to replace actual therapy or instructions given by a doctor or a personal therapist. I'm your host, Jalon Johnson. My guest today is Dr. Cecelia Baldwin. Dr. Baldwin is a licensed professional counselor, a doctor of marriage and family therapy, an educator, and a trauma-informed therapist whose work bridges clinical expertise with deep emotional wisdom. With over a decade of experience supporting individuals, couples, and families, Dr. Baldwin brings a grounded, integrative approach to healing with an intentional focus in nervous system science, attachment repair, and what may be most important, generational understanding. Dr. Baldwin's work centers around emotional regulation, trauma recovery, and helping people reconnect with their inner world in ways that are both compassionate and sustainable. She is committed to helping others understand that healing doesn't begin with fixing. It begins with listening, and she offers clinical supervision, workshops, consultations, and speaks with clarity about the complexity of trauma, not as a pathology, but as a pattern of protection. Dr. Baldwin teaches that what we commonly call dysfunction is often wisdom in disguise, and that our nervous systems are not broken. They're brilliant, shaped by experience and wired for survival. Through her presence, her teaching, and her work with clients, Dr. Baldwin reminds us that regulation is not perfection, and healing is not a destination. It's a return to softness, to truth, and to relationship with ourselves. So, Dr. Baldwin, welcome back to the show, and thank you so much for being my guest.
Oh my goodness. What nice things to say about somebody. Thank you. It's really nice of you to say those things about me. And I think at a certain point of time, I might not have believed that they were true, right? But I do believe them today. And so that is a very big gift that you just gave me of actually seeing who I am, what I am doing, what I'm trying to do. Um, it's special. So thank you.
You're very welcome, and it is all very true. And I'm grateful to be able to give you that gift. So thank you for allowing me to do that.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm excited.
Um, Also, I did give a brief introduction, but so that the audience can get to know you a little bit better, would you mind giving us a little bit of background about yourself and how you got to who and where you are today, please?
So my name is Cecelia. My friends and family call me Sis. And this was something that was given to me by my uncle Pinky. And it kind of just stuck around. So if you knew me when I was a child, you likely know me as Sis. You might call me Cecelia now, but you know me as Sis. So my name is Cecelia. I got into this work naturally. I think it was a natural curve into the work. It wasn't like I was born ready to be a therapist. It came out of a necessity for understanding. I needed to understand what was going on with myself and the people around me that kind of naturally fell me into this craft. And that being said, it's very special to me because it does feel like I have been positioned to be here. It's not just all of a sudden that I fell into a position of helping other people through hard things. So I fell into this naturally, or I came into this naturally. I do feel like some of the things that are in me are a great gift to be able to do this kind of work. So whether that is it's predestined or my circumstances is pulling it out of me, regardless, it's still in me. So, it just kind of feels like this natural pull to be positioned like this.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think that it is an honor to have you as a guest on my show twice. And one of the main things that I realized in our last episode was that we didn't really talk much about you. We talked about what you do, and I want this discussion to be about both. And I'm very excited to allow listeners to hear about your origin story and how that allowed for you to tap into those gifts that we talked about and to do what you do now and help people in a way that is very grounded and very relatable. And I know that just looking at your content on social media, I was drawn to you immediately because I was like, well, number one, she looks like me, she sounds like me, she's from my city. And the things that she's talking about, my body and my nervous system have always known, but not like this,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, that is something that will always make you special to me because you do it in a way that gives language to those who are unseen and unheard. But no. And I think that knowing is what is excavated.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe is the word I'm looking for. And it allows for a reconnection with self in a way that just feels natural.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I'm super grateful to have you here and to talk about your early life and the things that helped shape and mold you.
Yeah. I think what you're speaking to is like my gift. Like it's my gift to be able to use language in a way that helps communicate what is so complicated. Like like even when I was going to school and like had supervisors that were like in charge of leading me, I felt like there was so much complication that I couldn't get it. Like I couldn't get like what people were actually saying about like the amygdala. Like what the hell is that? Like teach it to me like I could understand it so that I could teach other people and I could use it like for myself. So like it felt very complicated to me to like navigate all of that, but I knew it was important. So I spent time with it. Like I spent after I got it clinically, like after like I understand what an amygdala is, but it took me some time to get there to actually be able to use like integrate it into like who I am as a person. Cause those things are very different. Like if I can't use the information that I have been given, it's useless to me. Like just like anybody else, it's useless. If you're giving me information that doesn't make sense, it is useless. And so I worked really hard about like, okay, I know that this information is for me because I wouldn't be getting it if it wasn't for me. But like, how do I break this down so I can register in my brain in a way like, again, that I can use it? So I think that is my gift. It is like I see myself as a translator from like that, like the complexity of it to like people, like so they can use it. And when you break it down, it sounds very simplistic. Like, and I get in trouble for making it sound like too simple, but I'm not saying that it's easy, but I'm saying that it is simple. Like it is simple to understand some of the like, oh, if this is how you had these experiences, it makes sense that you're going to be responding to those experiences adaptively. Like whatever that means. Like if you've had a traumatic experience, it makes sense today that you're just like leave me alone. Of course, right? Like when you start to look at it like that and you break that down as this is like the body's way to adapt to new things is to approach it like it because of what you experienced, like that just makes too much sense to me. And when I explain it like that, people are like, either one, they think it's like so profound, or two, they're like, no, you're dumbing it down. Like it's way more complicated than that. And I'm like, is it? Like, truly, like, is it? Like, and who said so? Like, who said
Right.
so? 'Cause this is how it feels to me, and I'm using it, so it's useful. Like, I'm not, like, taking in things that are not useful to me. I'm taking those in, using it, and then being able to say, like, "That's not it," like, or pass it on to somebody else who might need it. Like, and that's not gonna be everybody. Everybody is not gonna need it. Like, and trying to separate the people, trying to separate those two have been a challenge for me just recently, but I'm starting to see through that. Like, when, like, I find that something is really important. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yes,
Like,
that makes
if
perfect sense.
it's really important and I know that this, like, that's true, and I have somebody coming and saying, like, no, it's not. Like, I believe that what I'm saying, it might be limited. There might be limitations to it, but there is some truth to it. And you get to use your own discernment to figure out, like, how it works for you, or it doesn't. But that's not on me. That's on, like, you at the end of the
Right.
day.
Right. And so what came to me is like, okay, imagine having a check for $100,000 and it's not endorsed. Like, what good is that check? Like, you have a check for a lot of money, but you can't do anything with it, right? And so you would need to find the person who wrote the check in order for them to sign it, in order for the check to have some value. And the way I translate that is like, your nervous system and your mental health is that check. And finding somebody who can give you language that's relatable for all that is the signature.
Mm-hmm. 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 And you know what? Most people decide not to even use the check at all.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that to me is like the saddest thing ever, is because you have, like, the check is, it is of infinite value. Like, it
Right.
is like a bottomless pit, like, that just keeps going and going and going and going. Like, it, and you could be so hurt and in pain that you don't even see it. Like, you don't even know that you have this check that's even worth endorsing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
Mhm.
don't, like, you don't even see it. And that is the saddest part of this whole thing to me. Like, is that people don't really understand their value. And it's like, it can't even, it's not like a numeral thing. Like, it's not even like, it's just, you are everything and then more, and you can't even see that sometimes. And that's really hard. That's hard for me to be with.
Mm. I think life experience and trauma and the way our nervous system responds to that life experience and trauma will determine the lens that we see ourselves from. And so if we've had a tough life, we'll look at that check and say, man, that check's not for me. Or why even bother trying to find somebody to cash that? Because even if I get the money, all it's going to do is, X, Y, and Z, or, it's not going to benefit me, or I'll just mess up again, or, all the things that someone who sees from a lens of trauma doesn't allow them to see the infinite worth. They just see the catastrophic events that have got them to where they are, and that will, in their mind, will continue to keep them on that path.
Mm-hmm. In other words, the check is a lie. Like, yeah, the
Oof.
check is a big lie. It's just there
Mhm.
to confuse you.
Right.
So
You don't trust.
let me just act like it doesn't exist. Because if I do, and then it doesn't work out, like, I'm the dummy in the room, right? Like, and I don't want to feel like that. Like, nobody wants to feel like that.
Yeah, it's deep. And I'm sure we'll get into that more. But before we get going, I want to stay with what the plan was, and that's to give the audience a bit more information about you and your early life. So I wanted to ask you, um, you built a life and a practice around safety, truth, and nervous system repair. But before any of that was language for you, it was lived experience. So when you look back at your earliest years, what do you remember most about the emotional tone of your childhood?
I have been thinking about this for a little bit, and I think I think what I might say might change as, like, I'm still growing, right? Like, but right now it feels like it was very confusing to me. Like, I was confused by it, like, and I didn't understand what was going on with, like, the people that I was interacting with. Like, I spent a lot of time. Context is important, right? So, I was born by a family who was separating, like, and they were going in other directions, and none of those directions kept us all together. Like, they separated the family. And so I was confused by this. Like, this just doesn't I didn't have, like, the knowledge that other people had these experiences. Like, I was too early to, like, really understand, like, these are common experiences where families, they separate, and you gotta come up with some type of agreement to, like, take care of the children. It was that was really confusing for me because I didn't understand it. So my dad raised my brother and I primarily, and my mom, she was she started having kids really early. So I think that when I came along, I think she was tired of taking care of other people. Like, because had been in a position to take care of people her whole life. Like, she was born a twin who had needs. Like, my mom's twin had a lot of needs, and my mom was responsible for helping take care of those needs because people treated the twin like it was a responsibility. Like, you guys are, you came into this world together, you're always together. Like, I think my mom was in charge of, like, fixing that, and she never she never could. So it felt like she just kept trying and trying and trying to take care of other people, that there was no space for her when I was born. Like, for her to even take care of herself, let alone another newborn. Like, there was a lot of things that, like, kind of pushed my family into a position of, like, separating. But I think this one stood out to me because my dad then adopted the responsibility fully. Like, not that she didn't love us, she just wasn't around. Like, at this time, she had gone to college, which I thought that was so dope. But it also meant that she was missing. Like, she wasn't around when I needed, and that created so much confusion for me because I was, like, living with my dad and my brother, and they were very different obvi- obviously, like, they're very different for me and different from my needs. So the things that my brother needed were very different from me, and I couldn't understand, like, what's the difference? Like, but we were treated differently. And my dad could not give me the things that um I needed from my mom.
Mhm.
So it was a lot of confusion, a lot of pain, a lot of grief, like a lot of grief. Like, grief lived in my home with me at different points of time. Um, and that living with grief is overwhelming. Like it can be overwhelming to the nervous system to live with so much grief and not have the resources to do anything about it. Like I'm just sitting here next to grief and it's consuming everything and I don't know what to do about it. But act like it's not there. But hide from it. Like hide from all of these things. Because what else am I supposed to do with it? Like doesn't make sense. it just I didn't have the resources to kind of figure that out. That was another thing that led me into psychology because it's like I notice these things. I can see everybody around me is like suffering. I could see that everybody around me was suffering. It felt very obvious to me, but I didn't understand the suffering because nobody would talk to me about what was going on. Like nobody would be like, I'm a child. Like nobody would come to me and be like, oh, I'm yelling because I can't keep the lights on. Like, or I'm yelling because like I don't know who's going to pay the meal ticket. Or I'm like I'm ignoring you because I can't even get my together to brush my teeth. Like nobody was talking to me about those things. So it just ended up me like having a lot of questions and having no one to like be curious about what I was feeling, like what was going on with me, knowing that all this other stuff is like going on, like that we're not living in like, I'm not going to call it poverty, like, but I'm going to call it like, um, we had what we needed, but it felt like there was a big consequence to have it. Like if we wanted something, if the family had needs, so like if my dad had to like fix the water heater or something, and he was just making it by, like financially, if he was just making it by, it felt like in order for us to have heat, right, you had to trade your time for that because he's got to go to work, right? Like you now have to, now I'm going to see you less because of something that we need. That felt like, that felt very hard to navigate because then that meant like single dad raising two kids in the 90s. We got needs. Like there's a lot of needs. So like you had to be able to meet those needs. You had to trade your time for money. And then that meant like, where's my mom and where's my dad? Like they're missing. Like they're missing from my experience to help me kind of like process like crucial information around confusion. And I don't know if they would have even had the answers, but nobody even asked me the questions.
Wow. That's a lot. And I feel your struggle. I feel your pain. And it feels unfair. And also it's just it is what it is. Like it's the reality. And like, so where do you turn? Like what do? You turn to whatever is available and whoever will take you in and give you love and community. And a lot of times that can be unhealthy and it could lead to so many paths that keep you stuck in that same reality.
Yeah, that's what's going on with a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they're stuck in a situation that they don't need to be in, but that's what they feel like they can navigate. Like, that's familiar to be in that situation for so long. Something new would be like unheard of. Like, it
Mhm.
would be so scary to be in a new situation. So we set up shop and we sleep. Like, this is where we live now. We live in
Right.
this space.
Mhm. Um, were there any feelings or questions that were off limits because if you asked them, you got pushback, or you just knew not to ask?
I knew not to ask because then that would mean that I had needs and my needs felt like a big burden,
Mhm.
especially on my dad because he always wanted what was best for me. So I understood like this guy is burdened. Like he is doing his best to take care of us and it is not easy. Like he had to do a lot of things that he didn't want to do. Like for a long time, my dad, he had to trade his time for money. He was at work a lot and we needed childcare. Like he needed to find somebody to be able to watch us. And so, it you don't have many choices when you don't have money. Like
Mhm.
your choices are very limited to like certain people when you can't pay them.
Yeah.
And that comes with a consequence. So my dad, I would remember him. Like there was this lady who lived at the end of the street and they had their house wasn't clean. Their house was like dirty. And she was a nice person, but she wasn't I'm not dropping my kids off at her house. You understand? Like I am not
Yeah.
like I've worked hard to not have to drop her like my kids off at somebody like hers house. And my dad had very little choices.
Mhm.
And so every morning when he would drive us down here, down the street, he would say, I hate this so much. Like, I hate taking y'all down here. And so, like, I understood how hard it was for him. Like, I felt like he meant it. He meant it because when we would come home, we were different. And not because she hurt us, but because it was like the energy of what we were around for 9 hours. You know what I mean? Like, so he could sense that we were like changing from our environment. And that was so painful to not like be able to do anything about that. And
Mhm.
so I knew that I could not burden him with my needs. Like it was when we do that as children, it's almost we're trying to protect our parents. Like we're trying to protect them from collapsing in because if they collapse in, what does that say about me? Who's going to take care of me? Like, so I think when you understand and you see that your parents have needs, you try to do your child version of caring for somebody by staying quiet, no matter the cost. So I think in my family, it was more of let's not speak about grief. Let's not, you know, make too many waves because we don't want to hurt each other.
Mhm.
So we just didn't talk about things. And again, that's why I say when you ask me about like what was the undertone, like there's a lot of confusion because you got a little child brain trying to work some like adult out. That's never going to be a good thing. It's never going to be a good thing when you got a child trying to work out an adult problem. They're going to internalize that as like, I'm the issue. Because why can't I figure this out? So I learned to like, just like not, don't talk about it. Just,
Yeah. When you look back now at what your dad had to do to survive and to take care of you guys, and maybe just think about that drive to the end of the block and him saying, I hate that I have to do this, but he had to do it. Like, that's a toll on him and on you guys, because every morning there's a detachment and a separation from safety, and you're still trying to build and work on safety in your own space, and that's so limited because of the challenges of survival. And so what is your relationship with your dad like now, like that you're able to look back and see all those things? Have you had the conversation where you've been able to say to him, Dad, like, I saw everything that you did, and I know you did your best, and I appreciate it, and we all have some trauma because of it?
Yeah, I think this is an ongoing thing for us, right? Like I I have a lot of love and admiration for my dad, like to the highest degree. Like it just, I feel lucky to have had time with him, right? Like and with him in a position of power to like make decisions for me. And that's not to say that he made all the best decisions. He didn't. He definitely did not make all the best decisions, but I understood very deeply that he loved me and he wanted the best for me. And I think my dad might have a hard time. He has a hard time receiving that. And that doesn't stop me from talking about it all the time. All the time. All the time. He's so sick of me because I'm always like, are you going to hear me or are you going to cut me off? Right? Like he is so sick of me. If you ask him today, what's that like? He'll say, I want my little girl back. Like I want her back. And that means he sees it as somebody who doesn't challenge me, right? Like that's somebody where I can just be myself, where I don't have to have a growth conversation every single conversation that we have. That's how he sees it. But really, I try to also explain to him like that's layered in other things, right? Like that's also layered in between like I wasn't being myself, so you don't really know what. Like I was pretending to be somebody else.
Yeah.
So like the version of me that that's not really the real thing. Like that's like a child version of me who was trying to adapt to like grief because it lived with me. Like I told you, like if you don't talk about grief, like it'll change everything. It'll change like everything. And I think my dad might have a hard time, or he does have a hard time hearing that. But it doesn't stop him from engaging with me and us having these hard conversations. And it's still evolving. Like, it's still evolving because I think he sees himself of like, I did what was right, and he did. Like, he did what was right. That's not up for debate here. Like,
Mm.
I'm not saying that you were wrong in how you were doing things, but I will say that some things were missing,
Sure.
and they
I mean,
still
they
are.
had to be.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
had to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I not to cut you off, but I think that he wants that little girl that was easy,
Oh, yeah.
because easy means you don't have to feel. You can ignore, like, all the things. And now, because I think you had to stay quiet because you felt the grief and you felt like, okay, I know this man is working so hard and I don't want to burden him. And that's a lot as a child to have to internalize. I can't be me, because if I say I need help, or like I want a hug, or why is this so hard, it's going to make it harder for him. And so now you're able to have these conversations, and I think he just may say, like, let's just be here with each other.
Yeah.
But that doesn't resolve anything.
Mhm. It doesn't. And it's both too, right? Because like, I want to be with him too, right? Like, we
Mm.
both want that. And you can't ignore that there's somebody else in the room. Like, there's like these other things that if we stop ignoring them and paying attention to these things, our time together would be everything. We wouldn't have to be in a space with these other things. Like, it could just be me and you doing fun things. Like, we could do the things that we want to do because we want to be with each other. And these other things in the room is like, it's creating a distraction for me because I have been working on not ignoring. But I think for my dad, like, he's had to ignore some things in order to keep going.
Of course.
Like, so he wants to keep going. And I can't blame him for that. But I think, like, sometimes you need to be reeled back by somebody who cares about you so you can stop running, because that's going to run you right into the ground. Like, and that's why I say, like, it's easy to get in a space like that. It's easy to get into a pattern of running because your nervous system has been trained for a long time to do that. And so when somebody is pulling you back, it feels very threatening. Like, pulling me back into what? That might be too scary to be pulled back to, because like, what's gonna happen if I can't move out of this place?
Right.
And that's
It's
where,
a
like,
lot.
yeah, but that is where the work in like self-actualization comes in. Like, that's where we're like doing the kind of dirty work of like who we are as a person so that we don't get trapped in it. Like, that's what building capacity is about. It's about like, it's not about like right now. It's about having the capacity when you need it. Like, and when you need it is when you're pulled into these dark pits of life, is when you need the capacity to kind of see and to work your way out so you don't get trapped in it. And that, for me, is what healing is about. It's about like having the capacity internally, emotionally, to not fall apart when life's, because it's going to happen. Like right now, I'm building capacity for my future. Listen, both of my parents are still living. I have a lot of people that I love in my life. And if I do not have the capacity to grieve, I could lose everything. Like that. Because I can't predict, like, if every time my husband goes away that he's gonna come back. Like, I hope so, but I don't know. And I need to be able to have capacity for that. So it's about, you know, self-care now because my life is gonna get hard. It's gonna be hard. Like, it's gonna get harder than it is right now, today. Because life just happens.
It does indeed. I have questions about mom because she was a twin. It seems like she had reached her capacity at a very young age. Um, you come along and she has nothing to give you. Not that she doesn't want to, but maybe just because, like we said, she's at capacity and she goes off to college, and you're with your dad. What is your relationship like now with your mom, and what did you have to do to get here?
Um, my relationship with my mom is very special to me now. And I think that that has come from me being a mom and knowing how painful it would be for me to leave my children. And it gives me a different perspective on like how painful, and I give my mom the benefit of the doubt, right? Like I believe that it was painful for her to not be with me because of how she wants to be with me now. Where like she is calling me all the time, like checking in on me and trying to be in my life in a very big way. And that for me is a reflection of like her being different today. Like, but not erasing that she wasn't there, probably because of the other things in her life that pulled her in other directions. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
know that how much she loves me, and she's always said that. Like, she's always been around for me, just not when I needed. Like, I don't need you to come in sporadically. I needed somebody to be around all the time, especially when I had questions about being me. Like, who better to get it from than you? Like, you know what I mean? So I think now I feel very blessed to be able to have like this cognitive awareness around like she gave up a lot. She gave up a lot, and it wasn't necessarily a choice that she wanted to make. And she makes that very clear to me. And I understand that as a mom. Like if the conditions were set, I could do the same thing. If the conditions are set, I could do the same thing. No matter how much I want to believe that I won't. If the conditions are set, I do things in order to survive too and to not hurt them. So, and that to me today has very different meaning for like how I see her as a person.
I think you having the awareness because you're also a parent and understanding that survival sometimes requires hard choices. And for someone who's never been chosen, choosing yourself could be the hardest decision you ever have to make.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. And if you've never chosen, it's hard to have confidence in your decision making.
Yeah, indeed.
That's where for me, that's where confidence comes from, is our ability to keep choosing. Because you or
Um,
not.
yeah. What was school like for you with all of this that you were carrying, your family system, and then having to go and try and learn and um like find yourself in and amongst other children and in the school system?
I could not learn. Like learning was really, really hard for me. Like it took me a really long time to like grasp concepts and feel confident in math. I still don't feel confident at math. I know how to do it, but it takes me a long time. And a lot of my education was kind of disrupted because my nervous system was so active. Like it was so active. I was worried about survival, not like, Miss Deviney, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not I'm not here for that. I'm here so I can eat, right? And be with my friends. Like math. And it seemed to me like when I looked around, the other kids were grasping the concepts quicker than I was. So I was like, am I dumb? So now I'm avoiding the work.
Mm.
I don't want to do the work. So when math time comes, like, who's up out of their seat 20 times going back to the pencil sharpener? Me. Me. I'm going to make sure we run out of time before I actually have to put anything on the paper because I don't want to feel like a dummy sitting next to all the kids who already are done their paper. And I haven't even started. But they look at that. I think a lot of my teachers growing up, they looked at that and they saw that I was struggling. But I was socially gifted. So I could talk to anyone about anything at any time. Like that's why I do the work that I do, because like I can talk to you about any people tell me really horrible stories. And I'm not fearful of this at all. It's almost like I have this very unique I don't know if I want to call it training, but I've been training for this for a long time. Right? A really, really long time. So I could talk to anybody. This is how I felt. This is what I used in order to feel like helpful or needed. So I got very crafty with words. And I noticed that when I asked people like things that move them, I would get a different response from them. And this is what was happening for my teachers. Like if I would walk in to the classroom and be like, "Hey, Miss Campbell, how you doing today? How's your dog?" Right? Like I would take all the information that they were giving me and then give it back to them. And this would create this dynamic in the relationship where I was able to do certain things that if I was only, I didn't get in trouble for getting up 20 times to go sharpen my pencil because of me, where I'd be like, you know what? I'm really tired. I didn't get any sleep. Like I would be able to talk about what was going on with me. And I feel like it made the people around me like feel sorry for me, like that I couldn't do. So they didn't want to get me in trouble because I wasn't meaning any harm.
Right.
They knew my situation. They knew like Cecelia might not have done her homework today. Like her dad is a single dad. He's working all the time. Like she doesn't have a mom. Right. Like, and so I think the teachers knew that about me and knew that I wasn't trying to create a problem. So they saw these things as very different. Like they wanted the best for me. Like they would just be like, I'm not going to give you an F. I'm going to sit with you at lunch because I know how hard it is to probably get some of this stuff done. So it was hard to answer the question, but it was also like a place of reprieve when I was around my friends and teachers that like saw me.
Mm.
And there was a couple times just recently I said to my husband, like, I ran into my third grade teacher because I was giving a presentation. Like I was doing like a training at a school in my district, and she took one of the trainings. And I was like, it's my third grade teacher, Miss McLaughlin. I saw her. She looked exactly the same. And I said, oh my God, Miss McLaughlin, I can't believe it's you. Like, and she goes like, well, why? And I said, like, you had such a big impact on my life because you helped me, like, one, learn math. Like you slowed down and sat with me. This was a woman who like would call my dad and say like, hey, does Cecelia need anything extra? Like I can help you guys out with things. Like, and that to me, that's how she treated me. Like she treated me like I was deserving of something. And that changed a lot of the thinking about like who I am, because I had a couple people like that in my life that were like really these kind of anchors for like exposing me to myself. Like in 6th grade, I was hanging out with these girls that were not like me. We were just very different, but like there was a lot of convenience to it. Like, they were in my neighborhood. So it was, if I wanted to walk or down the street, I would walk down the street and we'd be hanging out. Like that's just convenient. But we did a lot of hanging out together, and we would go to the YMCA, and there was like always drama, like at the Y. Like there was always some stuff happening in me and my friend group. Just like people always having to like tell us like not to do something or to quiet down, like we were targeted to like, people were focused on our behaviors and how we were like running stuff at the Y. Anyway, this worker called my dad, and my dad always, he will say, my dad likes to tell stories. He will probably mention this today. She called him on the phone and she said, Mr. Saunders, why are you letting Cecelia hang out with these girls? She is not like them. And mind you, like we stayed a long time at the Y. We stayed at the Y all day long sometimes because my dad was trading time for money. And so the Y became the babysitter. So he spent all his money on getting us a Y membership so we could just like be there. So for him to receive that call, it meant a couple of things. Like, one, you can't mess this up. You can't be over there showing out, messing this up, because then like, what are we going to do about you when I'm at work? Like,
Where are you gonna go?
you know what I'm saying? Like, what's going to happen when I'm at work? Like, you need to get your act together. And two, he said to me, like, I know you're not like them. I know you're not like them. And I believed that, like, I believed that coming from her and being relayed through him to me. Like, I believed these things that people were telling me because I felt that. I just didn't have the language for it. Like, if I'm not hanging out with them, who am I gonna be hanging out with?
Right.
I knew that it felt different when we would be doing things that didn't feel aligned. But also, I was a child who wanted to have friends, who wanted to play with the girls in my neighborhood.
Right. What would your other options be?
The boys, and I played with them too, but like, just that was just different. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
as you start to age, like, you no longer want to play with Alex and Creston. Like I don't want to play with y'all at a certain point. I want to like have my own relationship with people that look like me. Not that like y'all were not fun. Just I've outgrown y'all. Like I'm a teen now. You know how that goes.
Sure.
So it's like those are some of the experiences that I had, and that kind of reflected back to me and like how I felt about myself.
Did you have any early romantic relationships? And how did your early life experience and those early romantic relationships affect your nervous system and what you learned about love and loss?
This is the part where I get to talk about my husband. Yes, I did have earlier relationships with people that, you know, were okay, but they weren't my people. Like, you know what I mean? Like it just weren't my people. And that was obvious for a number of different things. And that's not like saying that they were bad people, just not people for me. But I met my husband in 7th grade, in middle school. Like I met him right before I was about to go through a really hard time in my life. And I didn't know that. Like I just met him kind of in passing. Like we exchanged a few words and then I didn't see him again, like after that until I got to high school. And I saw him again in 9th grade on an athletic field. And we were like, I was on a girls lacrosse team, he was on a boys lacrosse team. And one of the girls on my lacrosse team, her dad was the coach for the men's lacrosse team. And so they were just new and they were getting like, they were still practicing. They didn't know what they were doing. Right. So they took a couple of people from the girls team to show these guys like how to get stuff done. So me and a couple of other people are like, we're lined up on like a baseline. A baseline is like the perimeter of like a big field. And we're going to race. We're going to race. We're going to do not necessarily a race, but a sprint, like practice sprint. In my mind, it was a race. And I casually, because on the lacrosse team, I'm very fast. I'm very fast. I'm not fast now, but then I was very fast. And I was generally the fastest person on my team by a long shot. And so I'm on this baseline. I'm getting ready to run. And I look down at everybody. There's probably like 30 people on this line. And I say, I'm a dust all y'all. All y'all are getting dusted. Everybody. And he says, we'll see, like very casually. No like attitude. He just said, we'll see about that. And I was like, watch. I ran as fast as I could. As fast as I could. I don't even know if I ran any faster than this ever again in my entire life. I was cooking, like running as fast as I could. he was way faster. I was running as fast as I could. You understand what I'm saying? And he was way faster. Like, I didn't come close to him by a long shot, But I beat everybody else, but I didn't beat him. And at the end, he said to me, like, I thought you were going to win. What happened? What happened? And we had been friends ever since. Like, ever since, we had been really good friends. And Brendan really, he loved me for a long time, and I knew that about him just because of the way that he would interact with me. Like, the energy that I felt with him was very different than I felt with anybody else in my entire life, ever. Ever. Like, he showed me something completely different than I had never experienced from anybody else. And there was a safety in that. And I know that felt really scary early on, because I don't know, like, I'm familiar with chaos. This is where I'm coming from. I'm coming from disorganization and chaos, where there's something always going on, where safety felt very unfamiliar. So I was constantly testing, like, is this thing cannot be real. And so I spent a long time in our relationship testing. And what this was doing was helping me build capacity to co-regulate. Like, this helped me, because after the test, I could come back and, like, it took me a long time, but after I understood that he was safe, I could then lean in. And this taught me how to repair relationships and how to take care of myself within it. This was very helpful to me, and he taught me how to do that. And so he still teaches me every day, and it is a real gift to be in his presence, because that, as a couples therapist, I know that it's rare. And you can say, like, based on the people that are coming to see me, there's a certain they're already at their wits' end with each other. And so for me, obviously it looks rare, but even outside of the therapy, it feels rare. It feels rare when you have somebody who is, like, genuinely your friend and who wants the best for you. Like, zero competition. Like, I want you to be great ahead of me. Is very rare. So he taught me a lot about who I am today and what my capacity is.
He sounds like a special dude.
He is very special to me. Very. He has his quirks, but, like, he's very unique and kind, and he really, really loves me very, very deeply. And that has been obvious to me since the moment I met him.
So you said that you would test a relationship because you were used to chaos and dysfunction, and safety maybe felt off. And I understand that. Oh my God, I understand that. What were some of the first things you noticed when you began to slow down and you were able to build capacity and sit in that safety and listen to your body?
The first thing that I noticed was, like, how my body stopped vibrating. Like, how the closer that I got to him, the less I felt like my body shaking from the insides. Like, and it took me a long time to get to a place where I could, like, lean into that, like, get a hug and actually lean into it. But my body was the first thing that showed me, like, this is something that can be trusted, because his body wasn't vibrating like mine. There was a sense of, like, steadiness that felt like very consistent throughout the years. Like it never had changed. So it started to feel more familiar. And remember, like I met him in 9th grade. So it's years and years and years and years of this steady vibration that has retrained my nervous system for calm. And that's not all the time. Like, of course, life's still life's, but the energy is the difference. Like the energy is what is like feels really stable and grounding and solid, regardless of what's going on. Because we could be in conflict, but the energy is the same. The words are different. But that steadiness is like still very connecting. And that to me, to be able to have the awareness of that is a huge gift. Because otherwise I'll be stuck in a pattern of nervous system dysregulation, like a lot of people who have good people in front of them. And they can't see it because the nervous system won't allow you to slow down, to actually be present, because it's responding from past information that is still acting very relevant, like right now, even when it's not.
So let's talk about the nervous system. What is it? How does it work? What does it feel like? Because I think a lot of people can relate to your experience and knowing that you have something stable in front of you, but not trusting it, right? Because they live in a chronic state of fight, flight, or freeze and may not even realize it. And I think that's the biggest thing is so many people are in it and don't know it. So what are some of the signs that you look for when someone's system is dysregulated?
What my body feels like, what it feels like. Because so your nervous system is comprised of like your body, right? Like you have nerve endings, you can pick up on vibrations. It is for miles. It's very animalistic. Like we are designed to be able to like feel things. That's why we have feelings. We're designed to do that. They're not bad things. Like they can be overwhelming because we haven't learned how to manage them and regulate these feelings, so they could be really big, and that creates a lot of internal chaos. So that has to do with conditioning. But your body will give you the information that you need every time, if you understand your body. If you've spent time with your body to actually understand that energy is what is giving you your information first, and to trust that as information is really important, but we don't know how to do it. Like a lot of us don't trust the energy of what we're seeing, because if someone is approaching me, you don't even have to approach me. You can be like a football field away. If I can see you, I can pick up on your energy if I'm paying attention. Like if somebody is like, their behaviors are reflective of what's going on underneath. So if I see somebody who's acting strange from a different way, my nervous system is responding to that. That doesn't allow me. Like if you see like a bear, like 20 miles away, 20 miles is extreme. Let's say you see a bear a couple yards away, your nervous system is supposed to respond to that.
Mm.
Your nervous system is supposed to be like, your muscles are supposed to tense. Like your hackles are supposed to be up. You're supposed to be responding to what you are seeing. And that's just innate. Where it becomes conditioning is when we stop learning to trust that.
Mm.
When we're like, oh, is that a bear? Let me see. Is that a black bear, brown bear, polar bear? Our body is designed to say, nah, you don't need to use your prefrontal. You don't need to use your brain to get up close to it to see what kind of bear it is. You need to be self-protective. Protect yourself first.
Mm.
And then maybe look out a window. Maybe like do something else. Like that's the nervous system giving you information, that your needed information. I can feel it when I'm near somebody because I trust what they're telling me.
Right. And I think we've become so accustomed to not listening or overriding. Like, how many people are on the subway or are in their car and see a car accident? We become desensitized to it.
Totally.
And so we stop listening, right? Like, how many times do we see homeless people just laying on the street and think nothing of it? Like, that's a whole human. Or, people nowadays will see people fighting, and instead of saying, how can I help, they take their phones out to film it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I like to think of our body's first response to picking up on energy as like invisible whiskers.
Mm.
And we have them and they give us information, but we've become so conditioned to not listening that we turn them off. And then that just continues to go internally until we don't listen to the internal message of our body. And then our nervous system at a certain point has got to scream because you're not listening. And if you continue not to listen, you won't pick up on the danger. And so now I have to take over.
Mm-hmm. And then we got to have a conversation about chronic illness.
Right. Right.
Right? Like,
And I think to be able to make that connection, right? You haven't been listening for so long, so now we got to talk about chronic illness. That's simple. That's simple.
And also so complex at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is simple. It's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. Those two things are very, very different. It's very complex because it's based on your experience. There's nothing. It can't be replicated. That's what makes us different. That's why it's like so important for us to be ourselves, because we are who we are based on our experiences. And I think that we need to be able to understand that very differently, so we don't live in shame, guilt, disparity, right? Like, so we can build capacity around those things. Because otherwise, I think that we live in spaces and places that are more of the same.
Yeah.
Like, we don't get an opportunity to see something different. And that, to me, is hurtful
Mm.
on a whole bunch of different levels.
Yeah, I agree. Especially if it's been something that we were a part of and now we're replicating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And not because we want to, but because we don't have any other means.
Right. Exactly. So we talked about this post last interview, and it is still one of my all-time favorites. So of course I want to revisit it. And you said in this post, if you grew up in an environment where your emotional needs went unmet, you do not learn to ask for what you need. You learn to lie about your feelings. Can you please unpack that again?
Yeah, I think kind of what I was saying before, like using the narrative of my childhood. When you have people in your life who are not taking care of themselves. It's hard to believe that they can meet your needs because they're not even taking care of themselves. So how would they help you take care of you?
Hmm.
Because if you're not taking care of your own needs, it's really challenging to actually be there for somebody else. And so I think that comes from a space, like if I had to like generalize it, it comes from a space of like not having people around you that you could rely on all the time emotionally. Because sometimes they were available and then sometimes they weren't. And that teaches you something about people. That one, they're not always honest. And two, they can't always be helpful. And so it's a big risk. Like we're talking about vulnerability now, right? Like it's a big risk to put yourself out there and not know if somebody can meet your needs. So what happens is you end up lying that you have any needs at all. And then it'll feel like no one can help you because you're pretending to not have needs. So people don't even know that you have them. But now we're walking around being like, no one wants to or can meet my needs. And I'm not saying if that's true or not, but it's an internal belief that we have that no one is able to help you. So then you're just pretending to not have any needs.
What can the cost of that be?
What can the cost of pretending that you don't have needs be? That can cost you everything. That can cost you your life. That can cost you your life. Pretending because you're pretending. I think this is a good time for me to mention, like, I have a podcast that's going to be dropping in February. It's called Too Late to Pretend.
I love that.
Because eventually it's going to be too late to pretend that you don't need anything. Because now you're like laying up in the hospital.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too late to pretend that you don't need anything because the evidence is in the condition, like what you're looking like. That is,
And if you've been pretending all this time, now you have to ask for help. And asking for help you may be so afraid to ask for help because you've pretended to be okay for so long that you might think it's easier to just go away.
what do you think is happening in our world today?
Yeah.
You know, I'm driving down the highway in my town, and I see the billboards for a suicide hotline. What do you think is like? It is easier for a lot of people who feel burdened in that way. They see that as like something real that they might consider to stop suffering. That is like, it's no surprise to me that I'm driving down the highway seeing a billboard for that. There was like 10 years ago, that would have been so taboo.
Yeah.
It would have been like crazy to see that.
Yeah.
But
So
it
true.
is normal now to see something like that. Why?
I think because it's happening so often. I think because we're seeing people think that suicide is a valid escape as opposed to saying, I'm not okay. Or not even escape, a valid course of action as opposed to saying, I need help.
Why?
Because of how we've been conditioned to lie about our feelings.
It's you hear people saying often that it is selfish,
Mm.
right? And I'm not saying that it's not, but I do think that it's rooted in a bunch of other things that we're not talking about.
Yeah. Pain, one of the most.
And like confusion
Mm.
about like what could be next. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that feels overwhelming for a lot of folks.
Yeah. And I mean, if you think about just using your example, for instance, if you started off as a child feeling confused and knowing that your needs could be a burden because of how hard the family was working, by the time you get to be an adult and you've learned all these adaptive ways to cope, you're exhausted. You're exhausted. And so some people are just so tired they just want to go to sleep.
Give up
Yeah.
because it's exhausting.
Mm.
Like you ever felt like exhausted? I have, right? The difference is in how often.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the difference is in how often I'm exhausted. That is when we insert self-care, eating well, sleeping well, boundaries, water, sunlight. That's when we enter these things to help us build the capacity to not be as exhausted as often. Because this is exhausting, period. We're getting information from everywhere, all the time. That's exhausting.
And then I think about if culturally you're shamed for resting, or if rest as seen as laziness, or if the culture is hustle and you're exhausted, but if you slow down, you will feel like you're doing something wrong. It's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. That's what happens when we're running from our trauma and we got to slow down. What?
Mhm.
What? What? So trauma can catch me? Absolutely not. I'm going to keep running. I'm going to keep running. Because I also don't trust myself that I would be able to survive it again. So I'm gonna keep running. The risk is too high. It's too high to slow down. There's a lot of ladies out there that look like me that can relate to this. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we don't know how to rest.
Mm.
Because sometimes that can feel really scary. But the consequence is your health. You know what I'm saying? Like, the consequence is your health. You're trading it for your lack of self-care. That's why it's called self-care. It's like caring for yourself. But you're trading it. So what do we think is going to happen? We're going to die early. We're going to have high diabetes, high blood pressure. Like, because we're exhausted. You're running for too long. Imagine like driving a car and pushing on the gas 100 miles an hour for 40 years. And you think that the engine is not going to stop running? Come on. One time, I didn't get it. My dad bought me a car when I was 16. Wait, he did buy me a car when I was 16. Wait, was this in college? I think I was in college. I was in college. And my dad had given me his old car because he got a new one. And it was kind of like a newish kind of car. And I didn't get the oil checked for a long time. Like, I was trying to go somewhere and my car wouldn't start. So I had to call AAA. And AAA came out and they took off the oil thing. And they were like, when's the last time you put oil on it? And I was like, oil? What you mean? He was like, you have to put oil in this car. And I was like, what? The car stopped working because it was not up to date with its maintenance. Like, we are a machine. We have to stay up to date with our maintenance. Like, or what do you think? Like, what do you think is going to happen if you don't stay up to date with your maintenance? Come on now. Am I preaching or what?
Yeah.
Like,
you got to call AAA, but AAA is not going to be
if you have
somebody
AAA.
Right.
If you have AAA. AAA costs money.
Yeah.
You know, it's a privilege to have it. Because if you don't have AAA, then what? What's next?
Right.
A lot of
and like you said,
happen.
AAA is a privilege, and the equivalent of AAA for us might be health insurance, or it might be the ability to see someone when we need a repair, whether that's a therapist, whether it's a doctor, whether it's someone in the community, or having someone we trust that we can open up to. And then if we don't feel safe enough to open up, there's nobody to call.
If you have health insurance at all.
Right.
What happens when you don't have health insurance? You die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's a hard pill to swallow because everybody deserves care.
Everybody deserves care. Everybody deserves health care. Everybody deserves the opportunity to know what needs to be done. That's what I'm saying. Like this, I feel this like civic duty. I don't know if I want to say that, but like it feels like that. Like it feels like I have this civic duty to tell people what needs to be done. And whether you want to listen to me or not, that's like totally up to you. Like, but I can't help but think somebody that has some experience and wants to be helpful shouldn't be considered by everyone and at any time. Like, that should always be considered. Somebody with some experience, somebody who knows what they're doing, and somebody who wants to be helpful should always be considered.
It's not always the case, though, which is sad.
Some of us cannot even consider it. We can't even give it consideration because it's so foreign to us. That's what trauma is. It will disrupt your brain. It disrupts your thinking to the point where you can't even consider other options. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't even take it into consideration because it is so outlandish that it doesn't make any sense. It's like this mythical thing that you can't believe in because you ain't never, ever seen it. You've never even seen this. This is like, I'm asking somebody to do that who can't even consider. It's like, how would you describe an alien?
Right.
I don't know. I ain't never even seen it. But you asking me to do that? Like, I don't even know where to start. That is so many people. Like, that's a great metaphor for so many people, like, fearful of therapy. And, like, I see a lot of people coming in and they're like, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah. So I think that leads perfectly into the next question is for those people who have never had a model of safety or who've only known hypervigilance and shutdown or self-care to them seems outlandish. What is the first step in learning to feel safe?
Ultimately, we need to give our nervous system the chance to pause. Like, we need to, again, if it's running constantly for 40 years, it's wearing weary. It's weary. And we need to find ways to give it pause so that we can get some rest. And rest does not always mean sleep. It doesn't. There's a big distinction in that. I'm not an expert in sleep, but I know that there's a difference there. And so if we're not giving our nervous system a chance to rest, we are not truly being who we are meant to. We're not being ourselves. We're being somebody whose nervous system is running all the time. And if that's the case, when your nervous system is running all the time, it impacts your thinking. Like, it's very hard to think clearly when your nervous system is activated because of the brain. The brain will detach itself from the part of the brain that can think clearly. It's a part of our survival tactics. This is biology. And so if your nervous system is constantly running, like you don't even have access to what you might know. The stuff that's in the prefrontal cortex, the top of your brain. It works from the bottom up. right? Like everything that you know is up here in the front of your brain. So when you're activated, your brain is disconnected from the front of your brain. That is what is stopping you from walking up to the bear and being like, what kind of bear are you? Right? That's a survival tactic. Because if our brains are still online when our body is activated, we're going to be dumb. We're going to get eaten alive. So it's doing what it needs to do and creating the disconnection. But now you're living there. You're living in this disconnection, this space. And so, no duh, it's going to be hard to make decisions that feel aligned. Because your nervous system is so activated. It can't reach the part of your brain that's responsible for thinking clearly. That's why your girlfriend is with her ex-boyfriend who treats her bad, right? Like that's why we're making these decisions. That's why she can't see anything different. And this is not about gender, right? Like this is about just people in general. That's just an example that feels familiar in my age group. Like people being with people who don't respect them because of the way that they see themselves. So that's just an example of that. That's just not like I'm not trying to like pigeonhole.
No, of course, I got it. I got it.
Thinking.
And I understand that too, because like all of us have friends or family members that may be in a relationship, or not all of us, but we may know somebody who's in a relationship with somebody who physically abuses them, and they go back, and it's like, why would you go back to that? And it's because maybe they're comfortable, or maybe it's safe to them. Maybe those moments where they're not being abused.
Familiar, right? Like who? I don't know about you, but I want to be in a space that feels familiar so that I can feel like safe, whether it's safe or not. At least I know what to expect. I want that now in every aspect. I don't want to go home to my house and nothing be the same. Every time I step away from the house, like no, I want familiar. Familiar is safe. And that doesn't mean it's healthy. You know what I'm saying? Like
that part.
It doesn't mean that it's like good to feel safe in an environment that's toxic.
Right.
But it's good to feel safe in that environment to know what to expect so you can protect yourself.
It makes so much sense.
Right.
So much sense.
Like, and then people are walking around thinking there's something wrong with them. Like that is what really like, that really gags me. Because that just makes too much sense. It's not that you were broken. It's working, and it's working well.
If you know what to expect, you can prepare. And if you can prepare, you can have the semblance or appearance of safety.
Yeah, but if you can prepare, you can be, like you can feel safe in that. Everybody wants to feel safe. Everybody deserves to feel safe. You know what I mean?
And so, for instance, if you know that your partner is going to drink, and if they get drink, they might get violent, and you see them drinking, you can prepare for what's next. And that's known. And so if you were to step into another situation where you don't know, that uncertainty may make you feel unsafe, whereas the certainty of knowing, okay, I got to prepare for X, Y, and Z after the alcohol or after this or after that can provide a measure of security.
Isn't that what we're all looking for? Do you know what I'm saying? Like we all I think you know, I get in trouble for using absolutes sometimes, like all the time. My husband's like, it's like you always use these words. See, always like use these words of like absolute, like always, never. But I think that's what we're all looking for
Sure.
on some level. Like you gotta feel if you're gonna do anything in your life, anything, like even get up out of your bed, like you gotta feel safe to do it. So the people who are not making as much movement as others, to me, I start thinking about safety and how to create safety in me so that they can see that I'm a source of safety. That's what I'm doing in my sessions all the time, because that is it's the root of the suffering. It's the root of the suffering. A lack of safety, physically, emotionally, spiritually, you name it.
Safety is everything. And you've said before that healing isn't about feeling what's broken, it's about honoring what's wise. And I think that recognizing that if someone feels safe, they can shift into healing is wise. So a question I have for you is how does someone learn to recognize the difference between broken and wise?
There's a lot of similarities and overlap, I think, between like broken and wise. Because I think there's a wisdom that comes from brokenness that you can't get without it. You understand what I'm saying? Like there's a wisdom that comes from brokenness that you can't get without having your heart broke. They show up very similar, but they're very different. Because I think this will change for me as I continue to like grow. But today, I'm trying to figure out how I want to describe brokenness, because it's not universal. Like it's not like I think it's a universal experience. Like I think in order to be living with a brain, you're going to have certain experiences. And having your heart broken, I think, is one of those experiences that are like a universal experience. So I think innately that makes us wise, because we're going to have, but the experiences are very different, but we're still having the similar experience. So we still feel like our heart is broken, maybe at different levels, right? Like the content is very different, but the context is the same. Like have our hearts broken. And so I think the difference between broken and wise is transition. Can you have these experiences that make you feel broken, like your heart is broken. And then what can you do with that? Like, how do you treat that? How do you interact with that? And I think you transition to wise if you have enough courage to answer that question. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a transition between here and there if you're courageous enough to walk it. And not everyone is able to walk it, so they stay stuck there. Because the walk across the bridge is where the work is. And then on this other side is where healing happens. And remember, like, healing is about capacity. You walking the bridge creates capacity. That's what healing is. So now that you have more room to move from this place that hurt you, not it doesn't erase the fact that you've been hurt. Nothing will ever be able to do that. It gives you more space to interact with it instead of living there.
Wow.
Because if you live there, you can't go anywhere else. You literally cannot go anywhere else because you don't have the capacity. You haven't widened. The goal of life for me is about expanding your perception, your perspective. It's about walking the bridge. This gives you a different vantage point. You can see other things. That you might be like, oh, there's another road. Oh, let me go take that you wouldn't have seen if you stayed at home right here.
Yeah.
Like, you owe yourself something more than that. That's why I'm like, my goal is to help people figure that out. That's why I became a therapist. People have very skewed ideas about therapy and what the purpose is. I'm telling you, like, that's my purpose. It's help you not live in a place that you don't belong. That you don't belong. Even if you believe it. Like, even if you believe that that is all that you deserve, I'm telling you, it's not. My job is to help you see that. That's my job. Everybody should be in therapy. Everybody should have somebody. Now, all therapists are not created equal, but everybody in their life in general, even if you have to pay for it, exchange it, should have somebody in their life that wants them to move out of this place of suffering.
That's beautiful.
That's just my job. That's what I see my job as. Not everybody is going to agree with me.
I would hope everybody would, because if that is what you want, who wouldn't want that? For anybody they love, or for any human. I mean, we're all in this together. And at a certain point, we have to realize that interconnection is what makes all of us thrive or all of us unhealthy.
And if you don't want that for somebody else, there's a lot of questions.
Sure.
A lot of questions that go back to, like, how you feel about yourself.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I want to reach out to a specific listener. And I think our community and where we come from allows for us to do that. And maybe she's a Black woman. Maybe she's from Philly. Maybe she spent her whole life being the strong one. the one who shows up for everybody else, the one who never has the space to fall apart because falling apart has never been an option. Maybe she's learned to wear her pain well, to smile through the tension, to speak calmly even when her insides are screaming. She might be listening right now. She might have a lump in her throat because something about this conversation made her feel seen in a way she didn't expect. If you could speak directly to that woman, the one who's tired of holding it all together but doesn't know any other way, what would you say?
It's okay to have needs, right? Like, it's okay to need things from other people. Like, you don't have to carry the burden alone. Like, it's okay to need things. It's okay to, like, soften. And just because you have needs doesn't make you needy. It makes you human. I don't know a single human who doesn't have needs. Do you?
Mm-mm.
I don't either. But for some of us, it's very threatening to have them based off of our experience. And for us to not live there, we have to stop pretending that we don't have needs. And this is very, very difficult to do when you have been raised not having your needs met. And there's a grieving process when you start to take this into consideration. There's also a process of grieving that also needs to be considered. Because when you start acting as if you have needs, you're going to understand very quickly that there are people around you who are not able to meet your needs. And there's grief with that. When you start looking at people that you love like, oh, I feel like this because you need me, not because we're in a reciprocal relationship. Because if we were in a reciprocal relationship, it wouldn't be so scary for me to express some of those needs. When there's reciprocity, that lets me know it's one sided, where it doesn't feel safe to have any needs. So you continue to pretend like you don't have them. That's over. That has to be done. Like that, I don't know what you have to do in order for that to be done, but we have to figure out how to move from that into something different. Because, like I said, like eventually it is going to be too late to pretend that you didn't need anything because you are going to be suffering so much. And you don't need to be suffering anymore. Like some of that suffering was in the past. I'm not saying like everything is still there. Like suffering will absolutely come with you everywhere that you go. The only way that you can separate from it is with intention. Like active intention every day to create some distance between you and it. And if you're not doing that, it's coming with you. So my hope is that you understand that it is okay to have needs. You work on prioritizing those needs over anything else so that you can start to live the life that you were meant to, instead of taking care of everybody else's needs except your own. It's like it's critical to be able to do this so that you can really follow your dreams. Without it, it's done. It's done. And that is, for me, when it's done, like when you have no creativity left. I'm sure that you have seen people like this. I have seen people like this my whole life that have given up and given in. Dreams dead. I don't think that people are deserving of that. But I do think it's a reality for many people. And that's very sad to me. So, long-winded, that's what I want for anybody who looks like me, very specifically. I want to be very specific about that. Like, definitely anyone who looks like me. Because statistics do not, the data is there of the burden that we are carrying, the privileges that we do not have. So I'm hoping for that to be different.
Thank you for that. And yes, I agree. You can't argue facts. If the data is there, the data is there. And people can have their feelings about it.
The data is there. What Jay
Feelings
say?
aren't facts.
What Jay say? The numbers don't lie.
Right.
They don't lie.
It's true. If there was any one thing that you would want to be known for that would define your legacy, what would you want that to be?
Oh my goodness, is there anything that I want to be known for that will define my legacy? I want to be known for being good to people, but not being perfect. Like, I want to be good, but not perfect. I want to give myself some space for error. And I want that for other people as well. Because to me, that has many different, it means more than one thing. Like, it doesn't mean that I just want to be good. I do. I also want to have experiences where I'm just able to have some room to screw it up. That I can have space for repair of my own. Because if I'm perfect, there is no space for repair. And that just isn't a reality for most people. So I want to be known for that. Like, and I want to be known for like giving people permission to do that for themselves. Like giving yourself some space for error and not then internalizing that as you're a bad person. And I want that to be seen reflected in my family.
How do you think you're doing with that?
Um, I think I'm doing pretty well with that. Yeah, I think I'm doing I'm doing pretty well with that. When I think about my family, I think my husband and my kids and my extended family too. Like we are good people, but we're not perfect.
Mm.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like we're not out trying to hurt anybody. And sometimes we do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just I think we're doing pretty good at that. I think that my husband and I could be more intentional with our kids. Like, because it's easy. Like, I say no to my 2-year-old a lot. Like, a lot. And I don't want that to transition into him thinking that he's wrong.
Mm.
And it takes a lot of patience for that because it's all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all the time. He is constantly doing things that I have to like kind of go behind and be like, He's 2 years old and he has a very curious mind. That he's very different than my 4-year-old. My 2-year-old has a very my 4-year-old has a curious mind, but he will consider what you're saying if you tell him. Right? My 2-year-old has a very curious mind and he's not considering nothing you tell him. He is doing it and he's going to figure it out himself. He don't need you telling him what to do. That's his energy. And so he's like, both things exist at the same time. Like, he's very curious and he wants to explore. And I also have to be his mom.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, that's for moms. Like, I'm saying that like as a personal experience because it is, but that is very common in a lot of moms. A lot of moms want to like parent very differently than they're parenting their children. And sometimes the children are going wild. You know what I mean? Like, and sometimes you just got to be very different with them. And I find myself like not being as patient with them. And that like bothers me. That's like they talk about mom guilt. That's like how I would define that experience of not having enough patience with everybody involved. So it's not like just directed towards the kids, it's directed with me too. Like, it's again, it's complex. There's a lot of complexity to it.
It is. And I also think that the fact that you're sitting in all of this and trying to decide how you can be the best parent because you have so much time to be with your children is a gift that you're giving yourself and your children that you didn't get.
It's the only, you know what? Like, thank you for saying that. And people ask me, they don't ask me all the time, but I have gotten this question of like, why did you get your doctorate? Because to do what I'm doing, I don't need a doctorate. Like, I can do what I'm doing with my license. Like, I didn't need to have like my doctorate at all. But one of the things that kind of propelled me into getting a doctorate is like the time that I could be at home. Like, it was very important for me to get my kids off of the bus.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, because there was no one there to greet me and I was with other people. And that it was and always will be, feel safer with people who hold you at priority. Like, it will always, and my dad did that for me, where like if I'm going somewhere else, like I'm like down here on the priorities. Like, there will always be, when you're not like the priority, and I think that for him we were, your needs are not a priority. And so the more time that we spent away from him or away from somebody who prioritized our needs, the longer those needs went unmet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think like context is always important in any situation, experience. Context always matters. And for me, I would have grew up very differently having closer proximity to both of my parents. Emotional proximity. That would have created a very different person. What I'm saying is this. I think proximity around people who prioritize your needs is very important. And it doesn't matter your age. Because it's about proximity to other people who honor your needs. The further away that you are on the list of priority, the greater the chance, in my experience, that you're gonna be hurting. Because your needs aren't a priority. I see couples say that all the time, all day. You know what I mean? Like, You don't care about what my needs are because these are the things that you care about. Boom, 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 boom. So you want to be closer in proximity to those people who care about your needs.
That's so important. And I think the more that we learn to recognize that we are worthy of having needs and that we are worthy of being around individuals who do prioritize them, the closer we get to healing. And that's the goal. And that's the goal. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do this with you and to have a chance to really get to hear your personal experiences, because that's important, because it allows for a bigger picture of who and why you are the person that you are now. So thank you for this, and thank you for the time that it took to make it happen. I know that you have little ones at home, and your priorities are different now, so the fact that you were able to give me this time is important to me, and I'm super grateful for it.
Yeah, I appreciate you being curious about me in that way, right? Like it helped me prepare for what's coming. Like, I do think there are things in my life that have occurred for a reason, and not all of those reasons were positive, but they happened to help me journey on somewhere else. Like I'm saying, like, this helped prepare me for what's next. And I appreciate you, like, giving that to me. Like, like, like priming the pump almost. Like that doesn't sound right. So let me retract that. I don't think that sounds right. But setting the stage for me,
Sure.
kind of like, come on and say what I need to say. So that, I appreciate that.
It's my pleasure. It really is. To be able to give back is special to me, because when I saw who you are and what you were talking about and the way that you were talking about it, it was different, and it was something that has always you know been something that's dear to my heart, and that I feel like gave me an opportunity to further my emotional growth with words and language that made sense and that were simple, and made something more palatable that was very complex. So, I just think it's an exchange, which is what it's all about. So
Cool. I'm happy about that.
good. If people want to find you online or on social media, where can they find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at dr.celia. I'm in the midst of, like, getting on other platforms consistently. So if you want my immediate content, you can find me on Instagram. But I will be launching a podcast on my brother's birthday, February 15th. And it's called Too Late to Pretend. And it kind of, I think the general context of this is going to be around a lot of the stuff that we talked about, like how we stop pretending that we don't exist, right? Like, in the ways that we're actually existing, because it's costing us too much. And so that podcast will kind of talk about different topics, and it's a solo, kind of like what you're doing here. And I'm taking notes, and I'm super grateful for the opportunity to be with you, to kind of like understand some of the ins and outs. So, and to be inspired by what you have done. You've done, I wanted to tell you this at the beginning, but it kind of like didn't go the way that I wanted it to go, because I wanted to say this at the beginning. You have done a very, very great thing for, I think, the community at large. When I look at Not Your Ordinary Parts and I look at like the people that you've had on this show and the content that you guys are talking about, that is so important. And like, I give a lot of kudos to you for doing it, because I remember getting a message from you and you being like, here's what I'm doing. Here's who I am. Here's who I've been taught to be. Here's who I am. And here's what I want to do with that.
Mhm.
Will you help me do that? That to me, I was like, wait a minute, who's this? Like, who is this? But it really is inspiring. And so I want to take some of that energy and make sure that I'm like taking that with me. And the irony is in this is like, before I start my own podcast, I'm doing this one. And the only other podcast that I've ever done, ever, was the first one. You know what I mean? Like, that's ironic. To me, at least, I think it's ironic. Anyway, it's special to me. So I wanted to thank you for that. But Too Late to Pretend, coming out in February. I'm excited for you all to listen, and just be a part of a different community that is talking about different things, like some things that you need, that it would not hurt you to consider.
True. Well, I'll be sure to put all the information in the show notes so everybody can find you and have access to all of your platforms and all your information. Again, thank you for being a guest twice. Thank you for what you're doing for our community, for people who look like us. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for how you do it. And I'm just super grateful for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.